Now we're back.
Yeah, now we're back. Told you at some point I didn't really screw it up yet. I'm just waiting for the moment when we cast for like 10 minutes and suddenly somebody is like
The
running
camera's
in
on
here.
us the entire time.
No. I think I would probably realize that, but
Yeah.
like I forgot to completely like put the sound on or something, and somebody just runs in and hits buttons, and I'm just like, oh my god. But yeah, boys, we are back, and we have, of course, our second game. We have, the Pouet crew, or as Techa told them, it's the Poo crew.
I misheard it. I misread it once.
Dude, I have no idea if Pouet is actually the way to go here, but the Poo crew sounds kind of funny. I'm not quite sure what they usually do when they are hanging out and having fun, but it sounds a bit weird. And they're going up against...
You done Goofed. Which
Exactly.
is a team we have seen around before.
And interesting enough, unknown to me, we already started with a draft, so we're going to jump into that immediately and check that out.
Once we hit the right button.
Yeah, I have too many keyboards here, right? Like, I have a button overkill. I think I hit the right button.
Nope.
Apparently I didn't.
Well, I will radio cast while Carlo
this
attempts
one.
to push
Okay,
buttons.
okay, no,
Hey!
sorry. Okay, guys, just in my defense, I have 2 keyboards here. I have a screen with another, like, 3 keyboard sets, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4 previous screens, okay?
Yeah.
So, it's a little bit more complicated than the setup that I'm used to back at home, but we're getting the hang of it slowly and steadily. We're also getting the hang of the draft, where we once again see a ban on Abathur. This time we're on Infernal Shrines, and no surprise, it's a ban on Uther now as well, a hero that is extremely powerful these days, especially, of course, because he is the biggest enabler, probably, for any kind of melee assassin that we have in the game.
Yeah, he's incredibly solid. That Divine Shield is just a beautiful ability, and all of his heals are fairly bursty. Not huge amounts of healing every time, but they're enough to burst up a healer, a assassin, or anyone who's being focused really nicely.
Now, the Pouet crew in this case has actually like a very interesting setup already. They started with the Tyrande early on. I was very surprised that we didn't see her in the earlier games, because she's just like such an amazing hero when it comes to the lockdown. We have her now also with the Jaina, and in this case, if you think about it, there could be a potential Stitches, a hero that is stronger now, and Stitches, Tyrande plus Jaina is extremely solid. Muradin, of course, is another hero that you oftentimes see with this combination, so it depends a bit on the goofers on how you how they play them.
Yeah, it would be very interesting to see a Stitches again, especially against a Kael'thas. One of the very good ways of picking off a Kael'thas, other than diving him, is to make him come to you, and a Stitches would be very effective there. Very similar to the way back when Stitches was in the meta, we saw counters to Hammer.
Interesting. We have a Malfurion extremely early.
Yeah.
And yeah, they've been waiting a long time for that lockdown, so no charism. So far what we've seen most of the time is the team, or once the Uther was out of the draft, either banned or picked, the other team would think about either Malfurion or charism, and it looks like the Goofers really value right now to go into a hero like Malfurion that has some AoE heal as well. They're going into the bans, and as we already said before, 2 heroes that would be great for Pouet crew are Stitches and Muradin, 2 of the heroes that they could play very well with Tyrande and Jaina, so the Goofers are probably going to try and ban one of these out. When it comes to the bans for Pouet crew, though, what do you think they're going to go for?
Ban from Pouet crew, I'm not entirely sure. Like, we already see a fairly rounded comp, probably a hard tank, because Tyrael, we do see him on the odd occasion as the solo warrior, but maybe someone to absorb a lot more of that damage from Jaina might be quite nice. And there is the Tassadar ban from Pouet crew, which does a similar job, but from the warrior to absorb the damage by just shielding everyone to make them all absorb the damage.
A Sonya ban by the Goofers. Now, there's like 2 ways how you can look at that. Either you can say that they don't really care about either Muradin or Stitches, and just simply say, like, you know what, we don't care. Take your poison. You can try and go for that burst comp with either one of these heroes. Or they simply said, hey, there's 2 heroes right now on the map that work really well with what they already have. We can't ban both, so we're going to ban something else that we're afraid of, and a Sonya with that single target damage could be exactly that. As it happens, it works out in a way that Pouet crew just says, we don't take any of these heroes, and to be quite honest with you, that surprises me a lot.
It's very surprising, especially, like, Johanna obviously makes sense in pretty much every comp, and especially on this map, but the Sylvanas is quite unexpected.
Yeah, I personally like the one thing that I really like about Sylvanas. For example, Sylvanas, I actually seen her a lot on Infernal Shrines, and I think like one of the main thought process behind it is that once that you get the Punisher, you can do a lot with it. First of all, you have like some decent control on the fights for the shrines, thanks to not only well your passives, you can use a Shadow Dagger, but more so the important part is really that once you get the Punisher, you can get so much value out of it if she moves in and disables the tower. So that's
sorry to interrupt there, but there's also the fact that the Punisher, if it dives and you already have the gate down, Sylvanas is probably the only hero that enables you to follow it and maybe try and secure a kill using the Punisher stun.
Yeah, they have also, of course, that stun follow-up with Tyrande in this case, which they can also use. But I'm still a little bit baffled that they did not try to capitalize on the Tyrande and the Jaina combination. I would really think that a bit of additional damage there would help them. Now, as you already said, Johanna helps with the fights on the shrines, so that's an asset to the team. And she also can, of course, you can try and stun with Tyrande using the condemn of Johanna. It's just so much more difficult than what we usually see. The Goofers, also with a bit of AoE damage. And now that's a pretty interesting touch, because these two heroes have lost a lot of the AoE damage that they had in the patches before. And on most of the games that we've seen so far on Infernal Shrines, I don't want to say that they were disregarded, but their priority has definitely decreased a lot compared to the last patch, where they were just monsters with those that presence and that siege damage, the wave clear that they had.
Yeah, still both very effective on taking the demons here.
What?
Raider.
No heal except for Tyrande.
She has a solo heal.
She has a great heroic ability. They go for the solo heal here, and it's full on out damage. In the early game, that's extremely powerful. Healers usually pick up a lot of their power later on in the game, but early on, if you secure yourselves a couple of those Punishers, and you are then also able to get in the kills with Sylvanas, I actually start to like that thought process a lot.
I do as well. Rain is also, like, he doesn't have the wave clear that you need to really be taking down these Punishers in the way, but like we said before, he is going to be able to focus down Leoric and the other and Tyrael, for example, very well, unless Tyrael takes Imposing Will or Leoric takes Imposing Presence. But Reyna is still actually able to fight those two frontline heroes, whereas opposed to most of the lineup of Pouet crew can't really do so.
I feel like the reasoning behind for them is really that normally when you have a healer, healers really start to shine in the later stages of the game, because their heals increase, they add a lot of sustain to the teams in general and in all of the team fights, especially when we have these 5 versus 5 battles. So that's where a lot of healers come through. This is also one of the reasons why when you play Hero League or when you play Quick Match and you end up with a team that has no healer, in the early game you're usually able to get a lot of damage out and oftentimes you dominate, but then later on you start to fall off because the healer can just like keep everybody alive, especially with the heroic ability. In this case right now, they have a lineup that is very strong with pushing, and they can, especially in the early game, the thought process seems to be here, okay, we dominate the early game, we get like the first 2 Punishers at least, we push together with Sylvanas, establish a lead, and then take it from there. They have the damage, and let's not forget that also Tyrande was changed in a way that now with Shadowstalk, she can actually get some decent healing numbers out.
She can. Shadowstalk was drastically changed. For those who didn't see the patch, basically, instead of providing vision of everyone and cloaking your entire team like it used to, it still does cloak your entire team, but it heals over time as well for your entire team that is effective, and then gives a nice burst of healing once it expires. It no longer, though, reveals the entirety of the enemy team, which is unfortunate. It's a very interesting ability that was lost. Maybe we'll see a different form of that in another ability in the future.
There were also changes to Infernal Shrines in particular. One of the things that has been changed is now that the hit points of those minions, they scale a bit better into the late game. They are more difficult to take down later on. And also what's really important is that instead of 30 minions, you need now to take down 40. And that doesn't really seem like much. I mean, if you look at it percentual-wise, it's of course a big increase, but then you can always argue like 10 more minions, is that really a big change? And yeah, indeed it is, because it increases the length of these fights like by so much.
Like in the early game, there is actually a chance if you lost the early game fight and lost a couple members, it would usually mean the enemy team would clear up super quick and then push with the Punisher, which also was changed because it used to scale ridiculously and do huge amounts of damage. But now it was slightly adjusted. But in this case, now with the 40 minions you need to get, you can die on that early shrine, and then as long as you have some people there, your team can come back to life in those early fights and get back there to have a chance to fight and get those demons back.
Yeah. So which team do we actually like have at the top hosting?
Team on the left is going to be you, Goofed.
Thank God. Okay, so the overlay is going to be correct. I got a bit scared for a second here. But yeah, it's going to be a pretty interesting setup here, what we are having with that single Tyrande. And that's one of these things that we're really excited about. So far, the games that I've seen where Tyrande was basically the single heal was where the team that played her still added a Tacita for the additional sustain to add a bit more utility to the team. So I'm really excited for this one. This is going to be a good start into the series, especially since we're having Infernal Shrines, which I personally personally feel is a pretty fun map. So guys, the game is happening, so let's jump in right away. Already to the left side, as you can see, we have the Goofers now, and they are playing with Lotus on Leoric. We're having right now a Blade on the Tyrael. We see Nasty on Kalthas, which is going to be a pretty nasty hero going up against, especially on level 13. Bims on Malfurion, and Beezy on Vala. To the right side of the map, Sylvanas, played by Qualifier. Shouty is on Tyrande. We're having Unker on Johanna. Kicks on Jaina. And Arcane is playing Reyna. A lot of damage. Single tank at the front line here. Very heavy tank, of course. And yeah, this is going to be a pretty fun game. And I'm really curious to see how the strategy is going to work out.
As am I. Just a heads up, camera's currently on my view, not yours.
All right, thank you very much for that.
No worries. Right now, we can see a bit of a group up from Pouet crew in the mid lane, looking to maybe catch someone out. But a very Blade strategy, even from Meet Your Makers, the lovely minion block happening to slow down the minions in the mid lane so they can fight a bit nearer to their base.
Yeah, and already everybody in the mid lane here. We also have a multi-shot build for Vala here for the extra AoE in the middle. A bit of a fight going on, whereas Vala started to go straight up to the top to get the experience early and push the lane back a bit. It's actually pretty cool to me to see Leoric here, because I feel like he didn't really get a lot of love after the Skeleton Swing was nerfed by Blizzard just recently. And what Blizzard was trying to do in this patch is to take away from that wave clear that most of the tanks that were prioritized in the last patch were able to just put on the board. So that's pretty awesome to see that we're having now a bit of a different focus, because I feel that it's just more evenly split between warriors in general. We see so many Arthas players right now. Muradin is a hero that is like played a lot, but on a map where AoE for the objective is crucial, we still have Leoric plus Johanna in the setup.
Yeah, it's very cool. It was definitely some very solid quality of life changes for both of the two warriors, in the fact that they, like you said, they were nerfed, but the nerfs don't feel over-nerfed. It's just a very comfortable amount of nerf.
Yeah, so far it actually feels pretty nice. So the Shrine is active, and once again, keep in mind you need 40 minions now instead of 30, and what Tetcha said earlier is definitely true. If you die early on in one of these fights for the objective, you can still come back into the fight after your death time is over, at least early on in the game, and that's what the two teams are going to be looking for. Bottom lane. A triple pressure play here, though, by Qualifier, Shouty, and Kicks. They're not going for the Shrine just yet. They're actually trying to push this in and apparently just give up the objective. Not really what I expected here. Nice lockdown against Tyrael, but they can't secure the kill against Blade yet.
Yeah, they are just completely ignoring it. And as such, we see the reaction out of Goofed to not focus everyone onto the Shrine. Instead, we leave Lotus there, who has the wave clear, like we did say. Kael'thas heading down to the bot lane to help Blade deal with this. In the meantime, everyone else, one per lane, they're just holding, making sure they don't fall behind on XP. Pretty
interesting setup here. We have both teams now on level 4, and I did not expect that early game. But now everybody's starting to go straight for the Shrine in the middle. We have already 22 of those minions secured for the blue team, and they're starting to move in for this. Harmony has been taken on Malfurion. That helps him with the initial a bit. And as you can see right now, the red team is starting to take up a pretty solid position here, with them not relying on a healer early on. As expected, they are the ones to really have the more dominant position on the map.
Yeah, they're managing to slowly catch up in terms of these demons here. And they're managing to push them back. However, Lotus able to heal up from the fountain. He's now ready to go back in, and he's wading through. He's going to push forward at the moment. Flamestrike hitting onto the Reyna in the backline here, and Lotus getting focused out very quickly considering he is the Auric.
2 more minions needed, 1, and there's the Frozen Punisher, but a kill against Tyrael. Following that just a second later. Kicks is extremely low, but Beezy, nah, it's not going to get in there. The Punisher, of course, always starting to jump in. When you look at the experience, they're still on the exact same level. Here come these Frozen shards from the Punisher.
Beezy went round the back and got him.
How did that happen, though?
He went round to here. I'm not able to ping from here. He like went round to next to the Bruiser camp and like shot him with a multi-shot.
All right, like that. That's a bit awkward, to be honest with you. That's a kill that they should not have been able to secure there, but they get the kill against Vala. The Punisher has been the defend against, though, and we still have both of the teams at the same amount of experience, just roughly. So there's not really a big disadvantage that the red team has, even though they lost the Punisher.
Yeah, they were able to defend pretty nicely. We can have a look at the mid lane and see only a tower is in kill range. Everything else still has a fairly decent health pool. It's going to take quite a bit of time from Goofed to really kill this off here. Greedy play here into the mercenary camp of Goofed, killing off Lotus already. Blade being pushed back as well as Beezy. and they're not able to grab the Mercenary Cup, but they were able to put on a lot of pressure and obviously get the kill on that Leoric.
With the level 7 talents now, we are also seeing, of course, first of all, the Revolution Overdrive on the side of Reyna. We have also the Unstable Poison, so a lot of lane presence now still for Sylvanas, and she can push one of these lanes back within seconds, not a problem at all. Barbed Shot even taken on level 1, and that's a really important one. Barbed Shot does the extra damage, and oh, there's the kill against Kel'Thas. Very nice pressure play from the red team, and they secured their 3rd kill just now.
Yeah, and this is what we were speaking about before. It is the incredible aggression you get in the early game when you don't have a dedicated healer. This Tyrande still just filling in the role, has the protective shield, like we did say, which is just a little bit more onto the supporty side. But until you get Overflowing Light, she's not going to heal as much as a regular healer. And even with Overflowing Light, it's going to be relying heavily on her heroic. And this is when she trolls us and takes Starfall.
I am not really sure if Starfall would be the best talent here for them. I mean, you can always argue that, of course, you're going to have these fights on the shrines, but AoE is really key. But then again, if you are playing as a solo Tyrande healer, I feel that Shadowstalk is kind of mandatory.
Sacrifices have to be made.
You can make arguments for both cases, I want to say, but I would still expect Shadowstalk to be taken here. But time will tell.
Yeah.
For now, we have the shrine up again, and both of the teams are roughly at level 9. We have no Ghastly Reach, by the way, but instead Leoric went for the Paralyzing Rage. Really important to note here. And once again, of course, the fight straight for these minions. And this time, the red team is very, very eager to secure that second Punisher.
Yeah, they're trying to go quite aggressive here. Bims was hovering around the bottom lane, soaking up XP, trying to get his team up to that level 9. Lotus hanging quite at the top there, clearing out these demons very quickly with Blade. But Blade getting focused down, and this is the damage that you get without a healer. Really
well done. A very, very nice setup, especially that stun that we saw from Tyrande. Great job here. Once again, they're starting to move in. Nasty is actually low. He eats a bit more damage. Great stun.
What?
Oh, but no Owl. The cooldown wasn't ready for it. And oh, that was such a great opportunity. But I really love that Shouty was able to get that stun in after all. And just look at that Punisher. Easy peasy secure that. And now, this is like the worst case for the blue team. It's level 10 against you. Shadowstalk, by the way, taken. So we have level 10 against them. The Punisher against them. And they're still in a position where we have Sylvanas to push in. And there she is already disabling that fort and gonna go for the tower. This is the worst case scenario for the blue team.
The Punisher once again going with its class. Oh, down goes Valor there. And Blade gonna join her thanks to that Envenom. The Owl coming in for good measure, but Tiro was already dead. The Punisher making like a very bad teammate in quick match. It is like objectives, nah, hero kills. And just diving in, completely ignoring the fort. But like you said, with Sylvanas, they can ignore it too. Just disable it, run past, and go for the kills.
They want to keep at least the wall. They are going in already, but we have Johanna rotating away, so it seems like they're not going to try and force down that keep just yet. The wall is enough, at least for now. And just like that, it's a 2-level lead for them already. Great play here. And they are starting to move back. 6 kills against 1. We have Johanna at the top lane, pushing back the lanes, securing more experience. And now for both of the teams, the heroic abilities, with Entomb actually taken. Entomb, Phoenix, Strafe, Tranquility, and Sanctification on the side of the blue team.
Yeah, they really want to fight in a very small enclosed area is currently the aim of Yudong Goofed. And that is an area that might not benefit the side of a Pouet crew here. For example, if like Wailing Arrow, yes, it's good for when you're grouped up. Bless Shield is nice, but Ring of Frost, it's very easy to just spread out for a quick bit and dodge out the way of that. Hyperion can only focus on the entire group for a certain amount of time, and then it just flies over the top.
Yeah, we have Blade, by the way, here in the mid lane, still trying to fight up against Kicks. Keep that level 13 in mind that we're going to see soon. We already have Chonky Fire at the bot lane with Sylvanas pushing that camp back, and level 13 will hit any second. That allows them again to take the initiative. It would be perfect for them if another Punisher or another Shrine would be announced at the same time, and there is that talent. And now we have finally Tyrande in an opportunity to where she can heal out as much as she wants. We're of course also seeing now Burning Rage taken, improved Ice Block. Great amount of talents here that they can actually utilize.
Tyrande currently on 6,700 healing, 6,752, compared to Malfurion, who only has 7,900 at the moment. So Tyrande, even before her Overflowing Light, is already keeping up in terms of healing numbers.
One of the things that I also want to point out is that Jaina did not go for any kind of mana talent at all. So we did not see Conjurer's Pursuit on level 1, and there was absolutely nothing in the way of Arcane Intellect on level 4. Instead, we just have a very traditional build going for all the damage plays, basically using Snowstorm, Deep Chill, Frostbitten, so everything that you really need to get the damage out there. And I mean, just look at the position that they're in now. 13. on the spot, securing the objective with the extra talent. I like what the blue team is doing, though. They know they can't fight, so they just like spread out on the lanes, try to take down structures, and close that gap in experience to at least have level 13 to defend against the Punisher. Yeah,
and on the point of no mana, there's not even Icy Veins, which we've been seeing so much more lately. Just taking that improved Ice Block on the Jaina is, like you said, so aggressive. Well, saying that taking Ice Block is aggressive, but the fact that you aren't taking a single mana talent means that you want to end the fight quickly. And looking at the heroics and right now the level 13s of Goofed here, they don't want the fight to end quickly. They want it to go on for as long as possible.
Yeah, there is, of course, once again, that Kel'Thas talent going straight for the Chain Bomb. We haven't seen a good Entomb yet, but Lotus might be able to secure a kill here if he gets that in. We also have with Frost Shot now, thanks to the synergy with the level 1 talent on Vala, with those composite arrows, we have them now in a position where they can start to control those fights a bit better. But here comes against the Punisher. We have the Hyperion already in play, but everywhere the Chain Bombs going down, doing damage. Level 13 versus 15, and the red team trying to go for a keep, maybe? Not yet.
Yeah, Punisher will get taken down. Did actually manage to get a 3-man stun, but we will see Pouet crew backing away here. They don't want to get caught out. They were thinking about taking that mercenary camp, but the Punisher went down too quickly, and Goofed would have caught them.
Yeah, up to the top lane, Arcane, Shouty and Unker trying to stay together for now at least, not splitting out too much. They know one of the things that can happen to them is being caught on the map off guard. So far they've been playing a great game and always trying to exploit the advantages that they were able to secure. And it really added up. I mean, a kill there, getting a Punisher there, it was really well done by them thus far. But now they have to wait for level 16 until they secure another lead in the game that allows them to take the presence on the map.
Right now, we're seeing Goofed moving onto the enemy side of the map for one of the first times really going to take another mercenary camp here to just help them push the mid lane. The mid lane's still only about as damaged as it was the last time they got the Punisher, which was the first time they got the Punisher. And, however, Pouet crew just using the time that they are in the bot lane to kill off another fort.
One more fort down, and we have now also Bullseye taken. We see the Blessed Hammer on level 16 for Johanna, a talent that a lot of players actually argue about a bit. On level 16, it's the Northern Exposure, and we're having the True Shot Aura for Tyrande. So it's the extra talent that we see again for the red team, and now they're starting to move in again, and with that talent lead, they can grab the camps on the map and steal them away from the Goofers.
Yeah, 2 vulnerability talents in the form of Cold Embrace and Northern Exposure. And like we said before, this is Pouet crew trying to just take these fights and end them quickly. And Goofed are desperately trying to avoid that, but right now we've been avoiding team fights in general for quite a while. So we're still not we still haven't seen exactly how this is going to work out yet.
The Goofers do what they have to do. Like, they fall back, they play it safe, they play it like very passive. They know they can't fight for these situations. It's very unfortunate for them, but I like the patience that they have for this. It's actually very difficult to show that kind of like, yeah, patience on the map if you know that there's another objective up. They're trying to get level 16, and they might actually still be able to fight for the shrine up at the top. Now they have level 16, they can move in. They have a lot of sustained talents now, an incredible amount of those. Imposing Presence, Arcane Barrier with the Arcane Focus. We could see Malfurion with additional healing numbers, and also the Stone Skin on Vala. Actually a very interesting talent to take here for her, so she can still use that, doesn't have to get close for the blood for blood. We have them now starting up to moving up at the top. Nice Entomb already. Shouty in a bit of trouble. He's trying to use his stun here. Very low though. Tyrande is down already. A great position for the blue team for just a second, but then it's a kill on Tyrael. Leoric is still alive. Johanna drops, and just in with such a nice control in the fight, the blue team at least gets a few kills off. The Punisher though still in the hands of the red team.
2 for 1. They kind of trapped it here actually, despite having the man advantage. They're trying to take down Nasty. Nasty gets taken out by the Blizzard. Leoric getting out of here. Chokyfire was in the background. Chokyfire finds Beezy. Going to try and chase him down. Bibs is in the backline fighting off Kiggs there. But, oh Beezy, come on. He used the bush.
Punisher.
He's been demounted. There we go. Sylvanas able to take him down. And Jada was able to take down Malfurion in the backline. And they sustained for too long in this case. They used all their sustain abilities and they just got trapped despite having a man advantage.
The Punisher going full gorilla style, pumping his chest there. He's pretty happy about that. In all fairness, Vala would have probably died to one of these ice grounds thingies either way. And yeah, there is that first keep that is now falling. The red team is just like crowning their gameplay so far with a kill on one of the most important structures in the game. 16 versus 18, the talents here, or at least the levels. And right now, it's back to business as usual. Get the camps, secure the map, push the lanes back, and just do your thing and try to be passive until you hit level 20.
Yeah, Pouet crew really making this, I guess, dedicated supportless comp work, but using Tyrande as the only dedicated support is really working out for them. The healing, which we can have a look at just now,
isn't too bad.
15k. Malfurion only on 22k. Of course, Malfurion is now catching up. Now he has heroics, he has basically all the abilities he needs, has hardened focus, but Tyrande's doing enough to win the fights, and it's as simple as that. Even though she got picked off in the early game, she was still able to land a good stun in the background.
Yeah, it was actually like, the stuns are really crucial here, and it's not only that, it's also the heals that she's been able to put out. Like, Tyrande in general is just an absolutely incredible hero right now. She was good before the patch, but now she's even better, adds even more utility to the team. Here's, though, the blue team with a bit of pressure play, and you can really see the reluctance of the red team to fight, because they're saying, why would we? We can wait for 20. No reason for us to fight right now, risk something. Let's play this safe and sound and just wait for the next talent to hit.
Which is precisely the reason that Goofed decided to go for some aggression there. In fact, it's probably their last chance to get any before the next objective
It's
happens.
win-win for them. Either they end up in a fight on even talents, or they take a structure. Either way, it's a good situation for them. They were probably hoping for a fight here. But now it's 18 versus 20, and now they are back to the position that they were in before. They have to wait for 2 levels before they can really fight.
Blade getting caught out here, gets rooted, slowed, stunned, and dead. Lotus now in full retreat. Tyrael just going to explode on some of these backline members here, but already just instantly picking off someone like Tyrael.
Yeah, this is the time in the game where especially Reyna is doing so much. I mean, we're looking at 40 seasoned marksman stack right now. That's a ton of extra damage that he has here. And with Nexus Frenzy, another talent that he has, I mean, that is absolutely incredible. So yeah, there's very little that they can really like do.
Yeah, keep going down, 2 keeps already, and there's still an objective up, which we will now see. The Pouet crew begin making their way to Lotus. We'll get a tiny bit of damage onto Unco, but nowhere near enough to really make it work.
It's a really tricky position now. They can't do anything about this objective, but can they really afford to just let it go? They're in a 4 versus 5 spot. They don't have the level 20 talent. Going in now would be absolute suicidal. They can't do that. But the Punisher is going to pressure this mid lane so hard, and the keep is already gone at the top lane. They were able to defend at least against the mercenary camp, but this is looking extremely grim for the Goofers.
Yeah, Nasty sneaking in. Finds the area, will Phoenix to zone out a bit, but only 7 needed for Pouet crew here. They can just throw in a Blizzard and probably just get enough there. But we are just going to see the fight. They're just going to throw in what they got. Lotus gets pulled in by a Condemn, but a Living Bomb is applied to Unco there. And is spread to Reyna. So a little bit of damage going here. And if they can keep up that little bit of poke, then Tyrande will not be able to keep up with that, but they're not keeping it up. There's the start onto Lotus. Lotus! Where did
It
go?
just disappears. It's just gone within a second. Like, he has no chance of escape. He didn't even have a second warning. He was just like gone. He was there in another second, like he's not. It's crazy. Like, the damage output that they're seeing, especially from Reyna against tanks, is absolutely incredible at this point. Nasty also eliminated, and now everybody is just starting to disappear. The Punisher is making his way through the mid lane, and there's like 5 Fearers and Catapults assisting him in taking down the core. What a game here on the side of Pouet crew.
Yeah, down goes Valor as well. They just can't keep up the sustain here. And the Punisher and all 5 members of Pouet crew going onto the core. And that is GG. Pouet crew with a destructive force there, just pushing through everything, able to take the first game.
Yeah, extremely well played here by them. So that was actually like a pretty solid play here. So we have Pouet crew taking game number 1 on Infernal Shrines with a very solid performance, and that strategy with Tyrande as a solo heal and only a single tank worked out perfectly.
Yeah, very surprising. Like we said earlier that we expected them to win the early game.
Yeah.
When you're going without a dedicated healer, someone like Tyrande who can do damage and gets a lot of focus,
Sylvanas.
you're going to win the early game. Sylvanas, exactly. You're going to win, but usually, like we said, and we did see just once, Goofed got to the late game and suddenly the healing was enough. But they got into a situation where the healing was gone, they had a man advantage, but they were trapped.
Well, the problem they were always running into throughout the entire game was simply that Pouet crew played it perfectly. Dominate the early game, for the first Punisher, they didn't even really fight too hard for the first objective because they said, it's not going to do too much anyways. We're going to try to secure experience on 3 lanes. If we can make that happen, we're even ahead, even though we lose the Punisher. Didn't really work out because the reaction of the Goofers was very good against that. But then the second Punisher comes, and this is actually the Punisher that starts to do damage. Again, we see the move in. Pouet crew takes it, and they always, from that point on, secure themselves elite with a talent, with anything on the map, and they just carried that throughout the game. And every single time that they realized, well, we're fighting with even talents here, they were like, okay, boys, we're out. We're not going to go in that. And that was extremely well played. And that's really the strength that you just saw from that Tyrande solo play. A lot of aggression and damage in the early game, and then carrying these little advantages into the late game.
Yeah, I'm just having a very quick peek at the stats here. Tyrande finished the game on 29,000 healing. Not as much as Malfurion, obviously, because Malfurion got 38k healing, but it is Malfurion that you're going up against there. As a general solo healer, considering how little the teams actually did fight, that was an incredibly impressive performance by Shouty.
Well, guys, we're going to wait for the second map to be started. It's not going to take us too long, so we're going to head into a short break. And once the players are set for the second draft, we're going to jump into that right away, so stay tuned. And we'll be back in just a few with the WCA qualifier here for Europe. See you guys. too many buttons. Dude, I have to press like 7 buttons every time we come
I'm
back.
watching you.
Alright guys, we are back with our next draft and it's going to start in just a second. Actually, it has already started, so we're going to jump in. We already have the Goofers down 1 map and we are going into game number 2 right now with, buttons and drafts and everything else everywhere. And there we are with our next map, which is actually Tomb of the Spider Queen. And as you can see, we already have bans on Uther and Jaina.
Yep, Jaina starting off as the ban from Goofed. Uther, we've seen pretty much consistent bans throughout, except for the one time he was picked up. But definitely a priority. And another priority we are seeing picked up by Goofed, the Qualifiers.
I'm not really surprised, to be honest with you. I mean, usually we see these days a high focus on Jaina and on Kelthas. Normally, when you don't see one of them banned, it's basically a split between the teams. Either you're prioritizing the Kelthas over Jaina or the other way around, depending on what kind of style suits your team the most. But in this case, having an early pick on Kelthas is pretty much what you would expect, especially on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where we could again see Sylvanas being played, just as a side note. I mean, it depends, of course, a lot of the setups that the teams are going to go for right now, but she is definitely a hero that can shine on a map like Tomb of the Spider Queen when you try to go for that strategy when you snowball with the earlier level 10.
Yeah, and we have a very deja vu pick coming in from Pouet crew here. The Tyrande coming back in. The question is, will it be a solo healer again, or is she coming in as that more utility style we see more often?
We have her this time with a Muradin, and I like that. The last time they decided against Muradin because they wanted to have more AoE, thanks to, of course, the shrines being the big objective on Infernal Shrines. But right now, it's more of a sniper composition that they're playing here. They don't have a Jaina to go with that, though, so the damage has to come from another hero. What's also going to be important for them, of course, is that they will have to think about that healer, which you already mentioned. We could see a Tyrande as a solo heal for them again. Then again, on the last map, it served a certain purpose. You can still try and do that, but I'm actually very interested to see if they're going to do this, especially since they have now on the other side again Kelthas, and on this map in particular, I feel you can even get more damage out there than you can on Infernal Shrines, thanks to those small corridors where a lot of these fights will happen. Yeah,
and those small corridors definitely play into the fact of whether we will see Tyrande as a solo healer or not, due to the fact that, well, they spent most of their time last game running away from fights until they were a talent ahead. This time, the map's very small. You're going to struggle to run away forever.
Interesting pick already. The Goofers go for Zagara. Zagara, of course, a hero that... This was always one of her strongest maps. You can get good vision at the turning points. You can try to just dominate those, deny your opponent's turn-ins. You usually see her on the bot lane, where she gets a huge presence, is more of a solo laner that has the vision thanks to the creep tumors and therefore a certain safety net. She's also a great pushing hero. And we have seen a lot of teams go for Sylvanas plus Zagara. That's a hardcore push comp, though, if you really want to play it. They already have 4 damage later on Kelthas. So they have the option, but they don't necessarily need to. It leaves them open. I like that about it. They secure themselves Ethereal as the tank now. I have to admit that I'm a bit curious to see how they are going to play that in the next 2 picks that they have here, because that's a pretty solid start setup, even though they're still lacking the heal option.
Yeah, they still need their healer, and Pouet actually has a chance to ban out another healer, especially seeing as they get first pick after the ban phase. So they could ban out another healer like that Malfurion for the last game, or something else, and then go with a regular healer themselves, as opposed to just sticking to the Tyrande.
Yeah, the one thing that I could see with a ban on Pouet crew, I was thinking about earlier, if Sylvanas isn't picked by the Goofers, if Pouet crew would go into a ban on Sylvanas. The problem that I have with Sylvanas on the Goofers is that that would also mean they are playing Ethereal as a solo tank. And I'm not really sure if he, as a solo tank, is able to really secure that front line. It would be also a lot of damage there, but if you want to go for a full push setup, Sylvanas would be the pick. I highly doubt that the Goofers are actually going to play this risky, so I don't think that Pouet crew have to ban her out. Instead, they're going for a ban on a tank, which I personally like, and they're also banning out a tank now, which has, of course, wave clear. So that puts Goofers in a position where if they want to have wave clear on the tank, they will have to go into Leoric, or could think about maybe an Arthas that can also combo a lot of his abilities of a good Maw that we could see on Zagara.
Yeah, so a lot of possibilities for you, Goofed, but Pouet limiting them ever so slightly. So what have you done, Goofed, going to ban? Right now, we don't have a dedicated damage dealer over to Pouet.
Reina. I think a Reina ban would be a very good option. He shines on the map since he can get his season marksman stats quite easily. That's of course true for a lot of for a lot of heroes that we have here. But they again ban Sonya. That's something that they already did before. I mean, I can see why, but I'm pretty sure that Pouet is going to secure themselves Reina now as the damage dealer, and that is going to be a pretty... Reina is a beast to deal with on this map.
Yeah, Reina's going to be very tough to deal with. The Sonya, like you said, can see it does make sense. Like, currently with their current lineup, they can just burst someone down if they had Sonya. They could just pick someone out and destroy them. They pick away the Leoric. So like you said, if they wanted a hero with wave clear, it's now removed from them. And like you said, I think the next pick... No, it's not the Raider yet. They're picking out the Sylvanas again.
Okay, so they're the ones picking the Sylvanas here. As I said, I wouldn't have liked the hero on the side of the Goofers. I feel like they cannot make it work with the 3 heroes that they already picked. But Pouet has played her already, and they are just basically saying, hey, listen, guys, we are going to play her again, so we have some counter pressure against Zigara, and we also can make sure that these Web Weavers, first of all, they are one of the teams that already have shown that they like Barbed Shot at level 1.
Yeah.
I like that a lot for wave clear. It's very good against everything that we can see on this map in terms of objective with the Web Weavers, and it's also really nice if you just push. The Goofers are already locking down Malfurion. And you know what? With Pouet going into Sylvanas, I could see them go into Tyrande solo heal again.
I'm thinking so. I think just a Reina to finish up their team, and they're just going to stick with almost the same style as last time.
Yeah, the Goofers, can they really afford to go Reina now? I mean, you were talking, of course, about Pouet, but the Goofers have that thought process too now. They are thinking, hey guys, what are we doing then? But they can't afford to go into damage dealer. They only have Tyrael, and they're saying it's not enough to really secure that front line and keep us safe in the back, so we have to get a second one. And Arthas is a great choice there. But now if Pouet really goes this aggressive again, they can actually make that work, especially if they're able to get into that late game. And also, I still feel that Pouet needs a bit of damage follow-up for the stun combination that is very likely to happen here with Tyrande Muradin.
Yeah, Reina, he will get the damage out, but it's going to take him till the late game to get it out quick enough to maybe burst someone down like the Arthas. Needs his Giant Killer, needs to seize the Marksman stacks before he can really get it out. Whereas maybe someone a bit more bursty, like Reina's good. We'll have to see what they do go for. Plenty of options on this map.
I mean, if they really would like to get a healer, then it would be Karazim, right? But what do they have then in terms of damage? They could theoretically attempt to go into Tyrande for Season Marksman stacks. They decide against Reina and go into Falstad instead, but still, same thought process. Single target damage, Season Marksman on level 1.
Yep, Giant Killer for the Warriors. Very much a similar style, only, like you said, the Reina, there's a good chance that he's not going to get his damage off. Falstad at least has a very good skill shot and a nice zap ability to focus down people in the early game.
Yeah, he has also that escape, which is really like important to check Falstad in general. But still, right here we are now in a position where they decided again to play Tyrande as a solo heals. As we said, if they would have gone into a healer instead and not tried for Tyrande for the solo heals here, they, in my opinion, would have been forced into Season Marksman Tyrande, either with Focus Attack or with the Searing Arrows. Searing Arrows is actually a talent that got buffed, and in the past we've seen, especially Virtus Pro, play a lot with Season Marksman and Searing Arrows. Right now it's more trying to go for Focus Attack on level 4, but still, if you really want to play that with a dedicated healer with the setup that they had here, then it is mandatory to really go into that damage build on Tyrande. That's something that they didn't really just do it now. They decided to play single heal Tyrande again, and they have now Falstad with it. I like the way that I like the aggression that we have in the way that they are playing this. Of course, Tyrande got changed, but it's still pretty cool to see her finally being viable as a single healer if she's being played the right way.
Yeah, these guys are really showing up. Like, this is definitely the first time I've seen this. I don't know about you. I've not seen solo Tyrande since bad since bad Hero Leagues.
I've seen it twice by Virtus Pro. And I think in one of the games they were successful, but it was a very special setup that they had, and it was like a really worked out strategy. And they played it again. It was like months back. And the second time they got demolished. Like, it was like not even close. At the beginning, as we said, they were strong. And then later on, when the opponent's healer really came into play with the healing numbers, then they completely followed.
Yeah, I was wrong. I have seen it once before, and that was by Gamers 2 against Team Liquid in a DreamHack Finals, where Team Liquid basically did their classic, we're going to pick 2 supports and ban out all the rest, and they had the option of Lili or Tyrande. they went with Tyrande and went full owl build as their solo healer. And they got kind of stopped, but that was a while ago before the healing heroic really came in.
Yeah. I mean, at this point right now, it's pretty cool to see that because Tyrande wasn't really a viable solo support. In certain setups, she could work, but it was extremely rare. And right now, it leans towards that. It's still a bit risky, but it's at least an option that you have, and I personally find that pretty cool. So that's kind of that's sweet. But guys, we're gonna go into our next match, and keep in mind that this is actually game number 2. So we have the Goofers down 1 map, and that means if they lose another map, then they are already out. We have Fnatic. They advanced as the first team today to the semifinals here at the WCA Europe Qualifier, and this team, the team that wins this best of 3 series, will go up against Fnatic tomorrow. Of course, we're going to have more content for you today as well. We're going to see Gamers2 and also Virtus Pro playing later on, which is going to be quite nice. But yeah, for now, let's focus on our second game between Pouet Crew and Goofers. And we have Tomb of the Spider Queen, a map that I personally love. I really like, especially the way that you can play with seasoned marksman heroes and also a hero like Asmodano. This map is pretty awesome. Yeah. Well, as is, we're gonna jump right in, and at this point, we already have to the left side Lotus on Arthas, we have BZ on Zagara, we see Bims on Malfurion, Nasty on Kalthas, and Blade on Tyrael. And on the right side of the map, we have Qualifier playing Falstad, Shouty is on Tyrande, we have Unku on Muradin, Arcane on Leoric, and Kix on Sylvanas. So yeah, a pretty solid setup for both of the teams here. That single Tyrande, or solo Tyrande, is of course going to be quite nice. Hi, Mom. Okay, so apparently Lotus is a middle-aged woman with the son playing Heroes of the Storm. Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah.
I learned something new.
It is good to know these things. That way we know who to look for when we go to events and see these guys. And I have a question for you. Do you think that Shouty is the shot caller, and do you think he's as loud as Breeze?
I don't think he's as loud as Breeze. I don't think that really happens. But yeah, he might be the shot caller here. I'm not quite sure. But it's a fair assumption. Mid lane pressure already. Oh, that could be the first kill. And yes, it is. Leoric is already there. Leorki confirmed. Arcane, yeah, well, he's going to be back in a second. You know what I'm afraid of?
What are you afraid
like,
of?
one of the PCs that is running this entire setup is right where my knee is. And I am really afraid that at some point I'm going to be talking and suddenly my screen goes black. And guys, if that happens, if the stream at some point dies, you kind of know what happened. And I apologize in advance. I'm going to do my best to make sure that it doesn't happen, but I am afraid. I'm
Imagine
not gonna
like
lie.
you're on a very cheap flight and tuck your knees in. You do not have the leg room for this.
It was amazing. Like back then, I think I was casting ESWC, was one of the qualifiers at home back then was Korea in the GOM house, and Mana was there and was casting with me, and we casted together, and at some point he was just like sitting in the chair next to me, and he was stretching out, putting the feet in front, and all of a sudden all the screens go black.
Oh no.
And he by accident pulled the cable out. And yeah, stuff like that shouldn't really happen. But well, we have a lot of stuff happening in the game as well, and that's the kill that we are seeing against Kelta, so that evens the score, at least for now, with the early game here. And yeah, let's see if we are going to see a tie after this game, or if it's actually going to be a 2-0 victory for the Pouet Crew.
It's going to be very interesting indeed. And there's a talent I'd like to point out to you, and that is Lost Souls. No barb shot coming in from Sylvanas at level 1.
It's... I mean, the talent is really good. If you combo that with a level 16 talent, which is pretty much what you would expect with the Cold Embrace, it's always great to have that cooldown reduction. It also helps in this case now Sylvanas a bit with a position down to the bot lane. I feel that having the reduction here, if you really spam the dagger, you get a bit more out of it than the barbed shot would give you. Barbed shot is better for the if you have the spiders coming down up to the top. Oh, the kill against Tyrande. Look at Lotus here, just barely escaping. But yeah, coming back to that point, I think that Barbed Shot is actually better when it comes to the defense against the Web Weavers. But when we're talking about the lane pressure, then you have that cooldown reduction, which is pretty cool with the Lost Souls, and the level 16 talent combos it off quite nicely. They feel they need the damage, and I'm not going to argue with them on that, because I really still think they do. But that was a great move here by Qualifier and Giggs. And
oh! The Haunting Wave just for the finish. However, Giggs now has given up his escape. Doesn't get rooted, but Blade is able to chase him down and get the kill. So a 1-for-1 trade there.
You know what? It's still worth it for them. They stole 8 of the gems against... yeah, they basically secured most of them thanks to Qualifier. So that wasn't too bad. It was actually quite nice. We have also old school Blade builds now with Vampiric Assault taken on level 4. Blade is not playing the hero though, he's actually on the other team. He's on the receiving end of the build this time. He is playing Tyrael. So I'm not quite sure how he's going to like the taste of his own medicine, but yeah, this is already shaping up to be a pretty fun game.
Yeah, we will keep an eye on him, as he is actually the only person in this game with season marking. We didn't see the Reyna like we did expect. We also have a lot of Globe talents, so we'll keep an eye on them. The reanimation and the regen master.
Also, something that I want to point out is the rampant growth talent with the initial heal of rampant growth by brief growth by 50%, which is pretty nice for the initial burst heal. Back in oh, there's another lockdown. This time Arthurs is in trouble. He gets away though, but Leoric is still on his heels. The jump! Oh, nice! The body block. Bim's actually trying to go straight into the path of a potential Stormbolt to make sure that Arthurs gets away.
Blade was also dropped very low. He was also able to escape, and we're seeing once again a lot of burst damage coming out from the side of Pouet crew. But this time, Goofed taking a lot more control and actually able to survive a lot of it.
Yeah. And, well, we have another fight over the turn-in point already. 56 versus 47 gems. Both of the teams have enough to go for a turn-in now, especially since the blue team already turned in a few. As I was about to say earlier, like that rampant growth talent actually on the level 1 is pretty interesting because it was a lot less in back in the days, and then people did the math and realized that it was the shittiest talent ever created and did like, I don't know how much, like 20?
Something like
20 extra hit points, something like that, even on the later levels. Blizzard looked at that and they said like, you know what guys, you're actually right. And they started to buff the talent a bit later, and now it's a bit more popular, but yeah, it's pretty cool to see that. The Loon's Grace, of course, another great alternative on level 4 with the extra range of all your basic abilities.
Yeah, and with the two warriors though, they're comfortable staying next to each other. Malfurion's going to be about the same range as Malfurion. Should be able to, as Kael'thas should be able to continuously heal his teammates in these fights. And there is a turn-in for Goofed and a murder from the side of Pouet crew.
Yeah, Lotus tries to go in to get a kill against Sylvanas. Now the entire blue team is here. Oh, but Kael'thas! Yeah, Arkin with a skeleton swing. Yeah, get a double kill. Do they get more than that? I don't think so. But dude, like that Zagara, you know, you see the first hero, you dodge. You see two coming on from behind, you dodge again. You see that Stormbolt, you juke to the right, juke to the left, you dodge again, and then you walk up to the top only to see that even like Leoric moves down, and you're just like, ah,
what did I do? Why do I deserve this?
Poor Zagara, like really nice jukes by the way. I mean that Stormbolt, he waited a long time to secure that, and then Zagara still was able to escape that, but yeah, it was just a bit too much damage.
Yeah, the Pouet crew definitely doing the similar strategy to what they did before, and that is just bullying. Just pure bullying of people here. A lot of pressure, though, from Goofed in the mid lane. Kicks being forced to not demount there and has to run away.
This is going to be extremely crucial what we're seeing right now. One of the main strategies on this map, and I'm not saying that any of these teams fully dedicates the lineup to it, is to reach level 10 early, secure the Web Weavers, and the one thing that you achieve with that is you hit the heroic ability, you get a dominant position on the map, and it allows you to get the second turn in before your opponent gets the first. Then you try to run with the Web Weavers, you drop structures, you gain experience, and therefore you always maintain a level lead. That's the thought process behind it. None of these teams fully commits to a push build like that, but we have both of them, of course, attempting to do that. And right now, the first Web Weaver wave has been defeated, and it's the team that had to defend that is ahead in experience and is going to hit level 10 at least at the same time, if not faster, which is absolutely incredible for them. So great position for them to be in. If they can now even secure that turn in, that would be absolutely the dream.
Yeah, both teams with level 10s, all abilities selected, and as such we see the big group up from Pouet crew there, but in comes Goofed. Lotus chilling at the top here, looking for maybe a surprise engage, but with the full web we returning for the Pouet crew here, we begin to see Goofed spread out and begin to get ready to defend the lanes.
I want to point out something else, by the way. That creep spread on Zagara is amazing in this game. Yeah. We had especially Sylvanas always trying to just push that back, but now with Endless Creep on level 7 taken, this is like one of the situations where we are seeing a great effort by Zagara to try and make sure that they have the vision on the turn-in spots. Didn't do them any good with this particular Web Weaver wave now, but this is the point where the red team has an opportunity to maybe drop a structure or two.
Yeah, mid Web Weaver already completely wiped out. Top one taking a little bit of damage. Bot one is about to go down as well, so it's all down to this top Web Weaver, and it does have a 4-man support with it, so see what they can do. It's Sylvanas, though, getting caught out in the bot lane after that Web Weaver goes down. She will die, dropping quite a few gems, but Looks like Goofed's going to sacrifice this top 4 for it.
Yeah, that was not really worth it at all. I feel like Sylvanas probably has no trouble whatsoever dying there as long as the rest of the team gets away, which might not happen. Nice stun there. That was a really important stun against Nasty. It might not look like much, but Unko with this stun secured themselves the escape. Because if Kalthas gets that gravity lapse through and lifts one of the heroes, then suddenly Pouet Crew has to make the decision. Do we go back and help out the hero that has been hit, or do we just let him die as well? So in this case, they get away. There was a really important stun that they secured here. But now the blue team is trying to counter with a turn-in on their own.
Yeah, and we mentioned that heroics have been hit, but we didn't actually go over some of the heroics that we do see here. Army of the Dead, which I've only just noticed has the same icon as Reanimation. It's been taken by Arthas. Devouring More, Tranquility, Phoenix, fairly standard. Sanctification, we do sometimes still see Judgment coming in. But a very heavy push from Pouet Crew in this bot lane.
There's quite a lot of those, by the way. One of the things that always surprises me a bit is when we have Dwarf Toss and also the ETC ult.
Yeah.
That can be quite confusing. But yeah, there's a couple of icons where we have the exact same ones.
I just never knew about that one. I'd never seen them together before. Or I might have seen them together and just completely missed them before.
Yeah, well, in this case, we're having both of them. The Mighty Gust on Fawcett, by the way, is also going to be quite interesting later on for potential like turn-ins, denying turn-ins, and the boss as well. It's, of course, a very popular talent these days. The red team is still ahead, and they have a split on 3 lanes, but that means that they give up the mid lane to the Web Weaver plus the blue team that are starting to pressure in. This is a race for level 13 that we're seeing now, and also, of course, the defense against the Web Weavers. And so far, it looks like the red team might hit the talent again a few seconds before the blue team does. Qualifier, though, dodging the... Wow, the patience on his barrel roll. Crazy. That was really, really well played. The patience to not use barrel. And they turn it around and get the kill against Arthas. And it all started with Qualifier just like proving that he's not panicking. He was waiting patiently, even dodging the stun on Kalthas. He knew that someone would try to come in from behind. And the Mighty Gust against Blade, who has cooldown on Eldruin's Might.
Yeah, Blade actually is able to escape there. Instead, they get Bims. The Auric going very deep, just escapes there. That is a 2-for-1 in favor of Pouet Crew.
Yeah, and that all started with a 5-man gank against Falstad. Qualifier with great play there. I mean, so many players in this case, once that they saw what was coming, they would have said like, all right, barrel roll away immediately, try to get to safety, and then you run straight into that hero that's trying to cut your path of retreat. If you die, it turns into a 5 versus 4. And thanks to him having that patience and the rest of the team rotating and communicating with him properly, they are able to turn it into a situation where they kill 2 heroes, turn in, kill a fort, have a level lead, and that was really solid play there.
Yeah, just Pouet Crew incredibly solid all around. Qualifier, like you said, has been on point all the time. Unko gets a stun onto Lotus once again, focusing down the tank here. Lotus dropping low, they get it, but the Mighty Gust preventing anyone from helping him. Qualifier barrel rolling out of there, but 2 members of Pouet Crew did die there to the living bombs.
Yeah, 2 of the members are down. The Web Weavers are still pushing though, but at the top and the mid lane, they're not doing too much just yet. We have Fawcett actually flying up to the top and just saying hi. Yeah, but he has to move back there, so could take down the wall at least. I would like that, because that wall is going to play a huge role later on when we're talking about attempts to take the boss. For now, it doesn't matter though. We have level 14, level 13 talents for both of the teams, with now finally the chain bombs. We saw them in action in the last fight. We have seasoned marksman comboed off together with also now the level 13 talent for Falstad with the giant killer. It's going to be important. Overflowing light as mentioned by Tetcher already. Pretty solid setup here in general. But look at that creep spread. This is insane. Everywhere. Great control that we saw on the map from Zagara.
Yeah, they're doing their best to clear it, but there's just so much of it that it's gonna stick around here and there. So
yeah, I mean, Zagara,
Zagara's
Sylvanas was trying to use the waves the entire time. Arcane is moving in with a skeleton swing now. But every single move that they make on the map is observed by their opponents. But still, 8 kills versus 6, 15 versus 15. When it comes to structures, we have a slight lead for the red team though. They have taken down 3 forts, whereas the blue team has only been able to eliminate 1.
Yeah, even Shouty has been dropping quite a few Lunar Flares to help clear up this creep. But most of the time he knows where the enemy is, so he's not wasting it in case they need it for a fight.
Talking heals, we have at this point 16,000 heal on Tyrande, 10,000 on Malfurion.
Well now. Tyrande keeping up and keeping ahead in this case.
It's of course always a question of how often you really use your heals, your heroics. Shadowstalk in the case of Tyrande, in the case of Malfurion, how often did he really get Tranquility out and could use that in a team fight, so that's pretty crucial in this. But still, it's very noteworthy that Tyrande is be able to more than keep up with this.
Yeah, there's the cooldowns as well, due to the fact that Tranquility does have a 100-second cooldown, so you're much less willing to just throw it out. Whereas the Shadowstalk has a 50-second cooldown, so you're more willing to just say, damage, boop, have some health. You're more willing to throw that out there because you get the cooldown back a lot quicker.
Yeah, middle was currently given up. The 16 talents are now in, which gives us hammer time once again. Of course, the one point in this game where Falstad is going to become this killing machine that just can take everything down is when he takes Nexus Frenzy. We've seen a lot of Falstad players going into Epic Mount, which is a very good alternative if you feel that you need the mobility on the map, but it's raw damage that you want. Nexus Frenzy is the way to go. We have on 16 now for both of these teams a lot of sustained talents with the Arcane Barrier again. Relentless on 13 is followed by the Stone Skin on 16, and Lotus is going to need that now because he's the target once again. Chonkyfire pushing them away right into the silence. A great melee out of the kill against Zagara. They're going for Nasty. Lotus also low, and this is the Red team trying to secure another kill. Chonkyfire is moving in from the side, trying to use his Seasoned Marksman and also the Giant Kill to take them down, and Arthas is dead.
Blade being pushed back here as well. Manages to use his Holy Grail to get out there. Does not get caught by the Lunar Flare. Nasty being chased out by Leoric, but with his stun is able to knock him up. But that's still a 2-for-0 in favor of Pouet crew. They can now get the boss, but there's the fort and the boss. So you're going to see Sylvanas finish that off. Falstad heading up to the boss, going to start it. Leoric will be along to tank very quickly.
It was actually very interesting to see that Mighty Gust, and especially since that Wailing Arrow still hit, because what you usually see is Mighty Gust coming in, Wailing Arrow as well. Wailing Arrow hits, doesn't hit because Mighty Gust pushes everybody away. In this case, it was the exact opposite.
Yeah, the communication on the side of Pouet crew here, perfect, because the Mighty Gust doesn't just knock away, it also gives a decaying 60% slow over 5 seconds, which actually makes it quite a lot easier if you communicate.
In this case, it really worked out well for them. The communication was there, and they capitalized on it. At the bot lane, this fort is gonna fall. That's a sacrifice that they are going to be willing to make. The boss is the biggest asset of the red team now, but keep that experience in mind. Even though we have 6 kills against 10, we still see not even a level lead now for the red team. They have to defend against the Blue Web Weavers, which is exactly what they're currently doing.
Sylvanas not going for what we thought in the form of that Cold's Embrace, instead has taken blood for blood at level 16. We have a bit of a pause here, so we can actually talk about that a bit. We thought that the Cold Embrace would be make quite a lot of sense due to that Lost Soul at level 1, the talent for Sylvanas. Instead, we actually see the blood for blood, so going for a bit more survivability due to the potentially very deadly burst damage we could see coming in from the side of Goofed.
Yeah, I don't really think that Sylvanas planned on going for this at the beginning of the game. It was more probably an adjustment where she just said, okay, listen, I need this. I need to go into a bit more of a sustainable talent. It looks like we are ready to go again. At least we're going to wait for another second. I can also show you the damage numbers here. But of course, if you really feel like you need the damage, and maybe they just said like, you know, we don't need that extra damage. We already have Tyrande. She can add a lot of damage here. She can add the stun. We have Falstad for the damage as well. So let's go for that. If you feel that you don't need Cold Embrace, then you can go for the sustained talent. But yeah, they had options here. Definitely to also like change that level 1 talent. But I feel it worked out quite well, especially since Sylvanas had a pretty tough time at the start, I want to say, against Zagara, but she still did pretty good.
She was on 3 deaths throughout the game where she's been picked off, like that chain bomb fight they had where 3 members went down. She's been able to keep herself alive fairly efficiently. Now she's just going to be able to keep herself alive, and if she throws it down onto Muradin or Arthas, burst someone down.
One of the things that we have to remember here is also that she did not go for Spell Shield on level 13.
Very
so
true.
That's a pretty big point.
The silence catches everyone here. They've trapped them away from the base. Blade, nice sanctification, keeping him alive.
And we have the Maw already countering out some of that. Oh, there we have in the middle a kill against Muradin, but it's also Malfurion that dies at the same time. It looks like Zagara might now die as well. She's extremely low, but gets away in the last second. The fight is still raging on the other hand. The root against Sylvanas. Down she goes once more, but the fight isn't won just yet.
Oh, Chonky was looking to fly after BZ instead. It's Leoric who goes after. Tyrande goes down. Now it's Chonky versus Blade and Lotus, but in comes Araken, and they're going to try and fight this Chonky, trying to back away from Blade here. He's focusing onto Lotus thanks to that Giant Killer. They get no way goes down.
Araken moves in. Where's the hit? Skeleton swing. Does he have it? One takes the takedown. Arthas he could.
Drain.
Oh,
Drain.
there it is! A 4 versus 4, 19 versus 19. What a fight! I'm loving this game. This is like good fun.
Valstad so close to getting that kill on Arthas there, just short of the final here. Arcade has 26 gems. He could get the full turn-in, but he's making the smart decision here and waiting. What's the point of a full turn-in when the enemy's not taking advantage of your team being dead because they're all dead too? Wait for your team to be up and make the most of it.
Well, at this point right now, one of the things that we talked about before the fight started was actually Sylvanas not going for that level 16 talent, instead for Blood. And I actually feel like one of the reasons why we're currently seeing this is that they decided that with the lack of a level 13 talent with Spell Shield, this is incredibly important for them as well. Yeah. 13 would have given you some survivability against Kel'Thas, but if you don't have that, then that's of course a bit of an issue.
Yeah, they have double warriors on the side if you don't Goofed, so that Blood for Blood will be a very nice amount. For those who haven't actually seen this in a while, it's 10% damage, which is very nice on the high health targets, and you get double that back as health to your hero.
I somehow managed to actually switch the overlay at the bottom. It's very interesting.
Do you have a hero selected? Because that happens if you select a hero on the right, and then it happens.
No.
Huh. I don't know how you've done that then. Just close it and reopen it. Just close it, hit E, and then reopen it.
Wow, look at that. The touch is in. Did you restart it?
Have you tried turning your overlay off and on again?
Have you tried turning it off and on again? Well, guys, we're still waiting for them to get ready. Apparently, Bims has a few lags there, so they're waiting here. Just to sum it up right now, we have currently still the keeps alive for both teams. We have level 19 versus 19. No real big advantages right now. It looks actually like they might be ready again. Yeah, well, in a second later, he's immediately like, never mind, we still have lags here. So, very close game. We have still the 1-0 lead for Pouet crew, and they're the red team in this case, and they're doing extremely well here. But this is still anybody's game to take. Pouet crew has a bit of an advantage thanks to the web weavers that are now moving in, but we still have both of them heading into 20. And the team that heads 20 first might just have that small edge during a fight to really snowball it from there.
They are both keeping up with those 20s, though. Web weavers, like you said, are descending. So they can maybe force a fight. It's red web weavers descending. They're ever so slightly closer to that 20. So like I said, if they can get that engagement, fine. But you don't go to so close behind. I think they can avoid a fight until they get 20 as well. And then we'll see the large clashing of titans.
Yeah. We're going to jump in as it looks like we are going to start the game again up in a second. And there we go. Also, just to give you another look at the numbers here, in case you were wondering about healing numbers and damage numbers, you can have another look here. Not a single kill, by the way, against Tyrael. The only hero in the game that hasn't died yet. Oh, talking about heroes dying. Nice steal on the camp there. Well done.
Yeah, very Pouet styles, considering what we've seen from them so far. Just like, well, objective, this is ours now. We're going aggressive.
I want to point out again that they are playing Tyrande as a solo heal, with 29,000 heals against 27,000 really coming through. So everybody who was wondering if you can play Tyrande as a solo heal, the answer is staring.
Yes.
The answer is staring you right in the face. It's the second game where Pouet crew does that. Look at that Nexus Frenzy. Falstad with that extra range and the attack speed. This is going to be so good for him. And of course, Sylvanas goes into a Bolt of the Storm. I mean, the way that she was targeted in these fights, that's the talent that you want to have.
All right, so that is Bolt of the Storm, like you said. The Death March from Leoric. Hardened Shield on that Muradin. Storm Shield on the Tyrande. And like we said, Nexus Frenzy on the Arthas. Level 20 just about to be hit by Udon Goofed. And like we said, they've stayed very much under their keep and have avoided the fight all the way up till now. However, the bait to go up to the top lane from Pouet crew will allow them to move up to the keep. They're going to try and burst it down, but in come Udon Goofed. They have their 20s. Mighty Gust disengages, though. They're still trying to kill off the keep, but they haven't actually managed to do it yet.
Yeah, but they will. Leoric
oh, no.
No, they won't.
No,
Leoric is not
They're all low now. They went too greedy. They were very low. There's the heal from Tyrande, though, and that will allow them to get out. They can't be targeted.
I mean, hindsight is always 20/20, but in this case, it was a bit of a misplay. They could have forced the fight in the middle with the extra talent, and they didn't. They now move in to finish what they started, and they kind of need to if they want to get something out of this. It's 20 versus 20, though, and they might have gone a bit too deep for it. Already, there's a whole sustain of the blue team. They're trying to use it. Arcane has to move back. The root against Muradin with his avatar. They're going in from the backline. Qualifier is firing as much as he can. Lotus is under trouble, but he moves back, and so far, they still hold on to the keep.
No one dead yet. That was an incredible death march from Leoric, but a good more from Zagara. This could be the engage they need. Root from Malfurion landing. Mighty Gust keeps Qualifier alive, but the Living Bomb has spread in the backline. They take down Blade, and if they can all get out of here, stun lands onto Muradin. Araken dropping solo. He goes down 1 for 1. There is the heroic from Toronto up again. They're going to try and take down Lotus. They've already taken down Kael'thas.
And now they go straight for Arthas. They dope him too. The keep is gone. It's a 4 versus 2. Araken is going to be back. They can't go for core here. They just don't have the hit points. But they might be able to go for boss. No, they go up to the top. They're trying to finish the top keep. It's so low right now. It's a big opportunity for them to get far ahead in this game.
Yeah, their baits to the mid lane when they tried to take down the mid keep meant that the Web Weaver did a lot of damage to the top lane. Down goes Malfurion to Muradin, and now Pouet crew, after some incredible back and forth fighting, just really low cooldown of the Tyrande heal, allow them to just continuously turn around and win fights.
At first, you could really argue, Araken, of course, here for the red team now completing the fight, but you could really argue at the first that they did not really stay in the middle to fight with the talent advantage that they had, and it was an opportunity for the blue team to maybe take it on 20 versus 20. But now the blue team has been basically wiped out. It's 18 kills against 11, and we are having a Pouet crew now with the boss. They're even delaying that to allow players to move back, mana up, and at least push with the boss, which is actually pretty incredible if you think about it. I mean, if somebody moves in at this point, especially Blade with his Tyrael, then he might be able to steal that away, but they timed that pretty well.
Holy Ground would have ruined them, but instead they are now all grouped up again, looking to move in. Blade with the Holy Ground to the latest, but instead getting focused by Qualifier. Giant Killer, very effective. In comes Uno, gets the stun, follow-up stun from Toronto. In comes Kings and Blade, still taking this for now, but there is the heal from Toronto. Sanctification, trying Blade to keep himself alive. And the silence landing on just one member there.
Yeah, but at least they get the Tranquility through before that hit, and now they're starting to move away now. The boss is already on the core, and the Blade is keeping himself alive, but that doesn't help them if the boss takes down the main structure. And there we go, Beezy trying to push him down as fast as he can. That could happen.
Oh, the chain bomb!
Look at those chain bombs! 1 down, 2 down! They are maybe even able to get a third, but the core is down at 10%, 10! They lose everybody! It's only Araken, but that's enough! 2%, 0, and that's GG. And amazing move. We have Pouet crew with a 2-0 taking down the Goofers. What a game.
What a chain bomb at the end, but Leoric had enough health to just push through. He was basically completely ignored there. He was separate from his team, and him on his own enough to take down like that last 2% on the core. What a final fight there. But Pouet crew, incredible play. Both those games. Tyrande, Jesus Christ.
I can't wait to see them tomorrow against Fnatic. The thing is, though, that you basically know already that at some point, depending on Fnatic, maybe not in the first game, but depending on how Fnatic is going to do in game number 2 against them tomorrow in the semifinals, we could just simply see a ban on Tyrande.
Now, I think that would actually be quite a smart decision at this point.
The question is, if Pouet crew cannot rely on Tyrande, what are they going to do then? They've played incredible with Tyrande. They really showed nice play with her, but what are they going to do if they can't get her? Do they have other strategies and compositions that they can play this successfully? Or is it basically that trump card that they have already shown a bit too early in the tournament?
Well, another, like you talk about trump cards, I would like to point out that in that last game, Sylvanas out-damaged the Falstad by a fairly decent amount. She got 72,000 hero damage, 186,000 siege damage, compared to Falstad's 68,000 hero damage and 85 siege damage.
Not too shabby at all. Sylvanas, even though she died 5 times, pretty well done here. But yeah, Pouet crew, they advance, and I have to admit that they played extremely well here. That last game was also very nice. I mean, every single time we saw these fights, on just the same level, the same talent, the fights for the boss, and really prolonged fights as well, with especially Tyrande, of course, getting her ult, sometimes even out twice in a fight, which was incredible. And yeah, that brings us, of course, to our last best of 3, or our last 2 best of 3s of the day. We're still seeing Gamers 2 and Virtus Pro play. The teams should be getting ready, and I'm pretty sure that we're going to get our first invite very, very soon. Guys, once we're ready with the draft, we, of course, are going to be back. For now, we're going to take a short break, waiting for the teams to invite us to the lobby and start the drafting process. And then we're back with the next best of 3 here at the WCA European Qualifier. So see you guys in just a bit with the next match here at the stream.